Hello, welcome to the show. This is You've Got an Hour with Adam Griffin, and I have a new theme song for the week. I actually don't think I had one to begin with, but this really fits where I'm at today. I had coffee today. That's all there is to say. Yes, I had coffee today, and that really is all there is to say. I should have let the song just sum that up for you. I bought a trampoline a couple of weeks ago, and I actually have been using it, which is why my hair is so voluminous right now. Allegedly, I also did buy a biotin treatment. Not that anyone needs to know that. I'm not. I'm not sponsored by them. Who cares? Not that I named the product. Let's move on. I've got some things to whine about because I don't know if you've noticed this, but the episodes always come out on Wine Wednesday. That's not an alcohol reference, although it will be eventually when my dad finishes the Griffin Vineyards. He's working on it right now, but the grapes have not wrathed, if you will. They haven't grown. It takes like several years for a vineyard to get off of its feet. Then you have to age them in the barrels and do all of these other things. I don't know. I've never grown grapes nor made wine before, but I did watch an episode of I Love Lucy in which they stomped the grapes. So I just sort of like transfused the rest of it. Whether it's right or not, I don't know. Don't quote me. But my dad's making a vineyard, and until then, we're calling it Wine Wednesday, WHINE, as in I have something to whine about, which is really a connectivity for all of us, isn't it? I mean, people don't want to hear about the joyous things going on. They want to hear about the things that we can complain together and hate about. At least that's what I'm learning politically. So, this is something that I want to talk about right off the jump. Nothing fuels us all in a whining department like an ex, right? And so this week, I have to say, I was inconvenienced. I'm trying to get my breath together because post COVID, the breathing's a difficulty, but also this is something that'll test you a little bit. It's testing me. I blocked an ex a year ago, maybe more than a year ago. I don't want to give myself too much credit, but they were blocked. And because of that, I didn't think that I was going to hear from them again, right? Well, here's the thing. I did. I am hearing from them actively right now, and I'm upset about it. They messaged me last night, and it wasn't through their number because that's blocked, right? Social media is not, we're not on that with them. So they messaged me through an email. Like they texted me from an email. How did that even happen? And the email is weird. So this could all be spam. And you tell me what you think. But the email, it's like it's their name, but there's numbers replacing certain letters. And they don't have a name that is a barcode. So like the numbers replacing the letters is a strange thing to do. It's a strange choice. So instead of an E, it would be a three, you know? I'm not going to spell their name out, but it goes and repeats in that way throughout the email. Now, I wouldn't put it past them to have an email like that. I think that maybe they think that's clever. Maybe it is clever. Maybe I'm, not up on my C3PO language and didn't think about that in advance. But I get this text message and it simply says, could you send me money for an Uber? I don't know, $30. Okay, first of all, yes, that's a very spammy comment, but there was no link, there was nothing else, it was just that. Obviously, I didn't respond to it because what do I look like? The Wells Fargo wagon? Is it coming down the street? No, no, no. The Wells Fargo wagon, the wheels have fallen off of it, baby girl. The music is not Manning anymore. I'm in a personal recession. I would actually like to get money from you for wasting all of my time and all of my youth. Although I look amazing right now. I'm on sort of like a Nicole Kidman regimen. Did you see that she's this is such a tangent. Did you see that she has this new line and thing that she's endorsing talking about her hair quality? No one's asking about Nicole Kidman's hair quality treatments. Her wigs are atrocious. They're terrible. She needs a trampoline so she can get the volume going up. But what this person needs to do is back to the topic, not contact me again. Cease and desist. Exit. Please. Saluda. Goodbye. Do you think it's spam? Do you think it's real? Either way, I'm not responding to the person. Of course, I immediately deleted and reported it as junk. Thank you, iPhone, for that option. I hope that I never hear from this person again, because I often feel like when you do report it as junk, I don't know if I am the garbage bin, but I keep hearing back. I'm like, I reported it as junk, but I'm still hearing from it. Hello? You block it. Okay, that's good. But until you block it, if you just reported it as junk, it's like, you should make it delete and block. Just a suggestion. I actually have a lot of suggestions, and I want to whine about this in totality. So iPhone has done a new iOS update. Are those the letters? Yeah, iOS. I think we're at 18, which would make it sound like full maturity, right? On the iOS, like before it was like sort of like beta testing, or I don't know what you want to refer the first 17 as, a growing period. Well, we're at 18. Okay. So if that's what society's calling an adult, then you need to really bring it. It needs to be something that's sensible. This update is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And I didn't like some of the other updates when they happened and then we adjusted to them. But this one, I don't know that I'm going to adjust. It's been a couple of days now, and I'm really not loving, first of all, that the emojis are so big. Who asked for that? Whoever did the interface for this? I mean, I'm not somebody who can design. I have a sister-in-law that is really good with technology. She makes apps and stuff, and I should have a conversation with her. And if she's listening, hi, love you, Kat. And if you're not listening, still love you, but also listen. So yeah, don't pull a Linda. What I don't know is why they chose to do this. I mean, I looked at it initially and I thought, oh my God. I mean, I know I hit 30, but am I this old? Am I needing them to be this big? Is it this big for everyone, or is it just because you're over 30 that they're doing this? Is it per demographic? I'm offended. And I have every right to be, because now you have to scroll over. It's like, you know how your top, let's say 16, I know it's more than that, but, or maybe it's less, I don't know. Actually, I don't know the number. I should have counted before this. Now I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. But you know how it was like the first blocking, we'll say, of emojis were all together succinctly, and then you'd scroll over if you wanted to opt for something else. Well, now you have to scroll over if even your top, let's say 16. Let's pretend it's MySpace. Your top 16 are not there. It's like the top 12 and a half, which is a weird number to cut it off on. I don't know what to say about that. I really don't like it. There's other things that are going on interface wise that I'm really not liking, like the way that the photos are designed in the photo app is really confusing. I'm really not loving that at all. I don't know if you saw it, but the way that they've organized the album was supposed to be cleaner and more succinct. Well, it's not, and it isn't. So, fail. F. You get an F. If we were in the movie A Christmas Story and you were Ralphie and I was the teacher, the dream sequence would not be A plus 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 plus. It'd be F minus minus minus. Repeat. Go back a grade. Go back a grade. No GED for you. As in, well, actually GET, we should say, because get it together. Okay, it is with an I. So GIT? Wow, just totally dismissed. Apple was like, yeah, we were taking really good notes from what you were saying, and then you didn't know how to spell a basic word. Like it. And so you're not it. We won't be listening to this podcast anymore. If they were in the first place, pay me. I would love to be exclusively to Apple. Anyway, but until then, I'm on all platforms. Okay, let's see. I will say, there's all of these wonderful little things that tell you, we're going to get to a damn in a week, things that made me say a damn. I'm still whining. Give me a moment. All right? I don't care if I'm over time. It's my time. The Apple iOS update, there's a lot of articles that are telling you how to fix it, how to go back, how to break the code of it, and to return it back to what it was. There's that many people upset. They're literally making articles. Like there's something from Business Insider detailing how to do that. So if you want to know how to do that, if you did do the update, if you didn't do the update, don't do it. But if you did do it, I just want to say Business Insider has good insight into how to crack the code simply and succinctly. Not that I did it. I couldn't understand it because I don't even know how to spell the word it. But this is a cool thing that happened. You can now, I think I like this one. Okay, this is something they could keep. And I'm not a lawyer, so maybe this is the wrong take on this. I keep hitting everything. My goodness, it's like I don't have spatial awareness. I told you I had coffee, okay? Adam didn't need no damn coffee. ADHDM. Ahdm. The HD is silent until I spell it out like that, and then now you know why it needed to be silent. But my friend and I were talking on the phone at TJ, who I hope will be on the podcast at some point. He's got great insight into music, is a pop culture girly, like really has a lot to say. But we recorded, because you can do this now through the phone, you can record your conversation. And I could see how that would be scary and dodgy from a lawyer standpoint, which is why I said that. Because if you're recording a phone call, it does tell you at the opening, like, phone call is now being recorded through Siri. Siri says it in whatever voice you've chosen for her. And we've got I'll play a little clip of it so you can hear what it sounds like. It may be stupid. I might cut this for time. But it doesn't show you on your phone that it's recording, which is a little bit scary. So I wish that it would. This is an update that needs to happen. It needs to tell you if it's recording on your thing while you are talking to the person. It needs to say like recording currently or currently recording, however you want to word that, but those two words need to be present This is what our conversation was like, and I recommend you do the same with your friends because it's kind of fun. And then it does a transcription after.
Did you do that? Did you make it say that, or did you say that?
No, it said that.
Why did it say it like you, though?
Did it sound like me?
Yeah, it said this call will be recorded. I thought you threw that in there. I don't know why it said it like that. I thought it would like, this call is being recorded, like something stupid.
So it feels like it's taking notes on the call as well.
What are you talking about? Is it's like doing transcription?
Yeah.
Oh, I kind of love that.
Right? Okay, here.
I like that I do like that it tells you, because if you were on the phone with somebody and it like...
That would be so sketchy.
But it also should give an update, like, on my end, like it should say, like, recording currently, you know?
To remind you?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, let me have it to if I pause it, if I stop it.
Well, that was a terrible example because I just repeated the same things to you that I said to him. So we're probably going to cut that for a time, but it's interesting. I recommend you try out the new things if you do the update and tell me how it functionally is working for you. And if not, fuck off. Now, here's something I've been doing this week. These are the things that made me say a damn this week. Ta-da! We've arrived. So, first and foremost, JonBenet Ramsey has, you remember that girl? She was a beauty queen pageant contestant? Individual. She's 6 years old. I don't really want to call it a beauty queen pageant, but that's what they were. You know, it's like Toddlers and Tiaras. It predates Toddlers and Tiaras. I think Toddlers and Tiaras probably started because of this. I'd have to look at the history. Who cares? You're not here for a history lesson. But JonBenet Ramsey, as I give another history lesson, went missing in 1997. And it was Christmas Day that this happened. The family was, eventually thought of as suspects, but not initially, because there was a ransom note. There's a lot of details in there that I don't need to fill in for you. Go watch the documentary. There's a new documentary on Netflix, which I have a lot to say about this, and I'll try to say it in like a minute's time here. Goodness gracious, how do you do that? I don't know, but here's what I think. Oh God, so much pressure all of a sudden. Why is there a new JonBenet Ramsey interest all of a sudden? I mean, there's all these podcasts that are coming out about it. I'm talking about it on my podcast. So like, pot calling the kettle, whatever it is. And I don't understand why the Netflix documentary came out with no new information. There's no new information going on. I mean, how many times per year, not even just, in a decade, how many times per year are we going to talk about JonBenet? It's unsolved. It's an unsolved mystery. Okay. So anyway, I'm watching it and I'm like, I am going to figure out who did this. Currently, I have two theories. I'm taking notes as I'm watching it. I'm not finished watching it. Next week, this is a teaser. I'm going to tell you my official where I've landed on this. But so far, I think it's either the brother, and I'm sorry, he was 9 years old. There's other children involved with the family, but the only two that lived in the household when this took place are the 9-year-old brother and the 6-year-old that, went missing, and eventually she did die. She, JonBenet herself. Which also the dad's name is JonBenet. So like her name is JonBenet, his name is JonBenet. Get it together. Clearly she's the favorite, right? Which further impacts the reason that I think he did it. I think that there was a lot of favoritism. There's something a little dodgy going on in the eyes. He's 9 years old, so I don't want to fully judge it. At the time, he's not 9 anymore. It's not like he's encapsulated there and stayed. They didn't cryogenically freeze him. He's an adult in Michigan now. Not to blow up his scene, but I think he did it. I'm sorry if he didn't. There's something going on in the eyes. It looks a little sociopathic. I saw American Psycho, and then I saw him, and I said, this is the same character. I don't know. I think he did it, and I think the parents covered it up, and that's where I've landed. Or, potentially, there was someone involved with the dance studio that she went to, because in the documentary, which is something that I hadn't heard previously, but it was something that was a theory already, so it's not new information, but it was new information to me. Is that there was somebody going around that was interested in some of the girls from the dance studio. And another person had been SA'd. You can look up the word if you don't know what it means. I'm not trying to trigger anyone. But there was an SA occurrence for an elder person, someone that was like 14, not 6. But that makes it just equally as bad. But I'm saying she survived it. And her mother like sprayed the guy with mace or whatever. And so that person could have gone awry, and then JonBenet happened, potentially. They never figured out who did that to that 14-year-old, and they've never figured out who did it to JonBenet. So I don't know. I don't know. Those are the two theories that I have right now. And when I finish the documentary, we'll see if I have a new theory or if one of them really is where I land. Now, when I was texting my friend Aria, who was on last week, she's obsessed. She's obsessed with murder mysteries, and specifically John Benet Ramsey. She and I have spoken about a couple of times. So I text her to let her know the documentary was out when it dropped, because Netflix kind of surprises people. They have so much content coming out, it's like can't keep up with all of it. I just simply texted her soberly, John Benet, Netflix dog, now. Now, what I thought I had sent to her was John Benet Netflix documentary out now. Yeah, didn't say that. John Benet Netflix dog now? Okay. Clearly she didn't respond to that. She was like, Adam, get it together. So shout out to her for having great healthy boundaries. And maybe she deleted and reported me as junk too. Maybe she considers me to be an ex. Speaking of these murder docs that are going on, I don't know if you watched the Menendez brothers scripted series that happened with Ryan Murphy. He produced it. He didn't write it, but that series that went on, they then did a new documentary following the tapes of the Menendez brothers in their own words about what they were feeling in the moment and whether or not they're guilty is something you're supposed to ascertain from that documentary. That's a good documentary. I would say that's better than the John Benet one because there's actually new information that comes out in it. And it's current and it was timely because we just had a scripted Menendez. There's a reason to have that. And also they're looking at the trial again, which is what I'm leading up to. The Menendez brothers case sparks a golden ticket frenzy in Los Angeles because that's where they are. That's where their case would be tried, is because they're from Beverly Hills, and they killed their parents. So spoiler alert, that happened here in Beverly Hills, and they're re-looking at the case. They're revisiting it because there was an SA situation that transpired. I guess you would say the word allegedly. It's pretty clear and obvious to me that did happen. So they're revisiting the case, and January, I think 30th is when the case has been considered the time that they're going to do it. They've postponed it a couple of times, so we'll see if it happens January 30th or if the DA is trying to just like bury it until the momentum goes away. But so many people are obsessed with this Menendez thing that they're actually having like a Willy Wonka golden ticket lottery situation to sit in one of the 15 seats in the courtroom. I believe it's 15. It might be 16. Top 16 is back. Okay, I think that's interesting. Should we try and get a ticket? No, I'm not watching this. But what I am watching, and Kim Kardashian is watching too, and I'm gonna razz her, not Riz. I mean, she has Riz, but I'm gonna razzle dazzle her for a second. I can't keep up with the Gen Z lingo. I mean, it's just too much for me. But the movie The Substance, which if you haven't seen, I'm not going to spoil it. The basic premise, which is the same thing you would look up on Wikipedia, is that Demi Moore is playing this character who's an aging movie star, I guess, but she's really more of like, she's sort of like a Jane Fonda person. She's doing these workout videotapes every week, and she is maturing. She obviously looks amazing, but she's self-conscious about the aging thing. It's a lot of pressure on women and in society in general, but especially in Hollywood, to look the same on tape. So she finds out that there's something called The Substance, and it will replicate her into her younger version. And every week they trade off with each other. That's as much as I'll say. It's a wild psychological thriller in the same vein sort of as like a Black Swan, but it's definitely about youth. It's a great year for it because Ozempic was such a hot topic this year, which we're not going to discuss here. I think it is a great thing. I immediately start discussing it. I think Ozempic has great things for people that are trying to lose weight. And my computer disagrees with me because now it's dying. Great. Excuse me while I plug it in. Oh my goodness. So get to it. That's the basic of The Substance, right? Kim Kardashian watches the movie, allegedly. I think she was just movie paid her, who's the producers of this film. I think that they just paid her to do a little write-up about it or something because, or maybe she just loves Demi Moore and didn't watch it. But she posted a still frame from the first 4 minutes of the film of Demi Moore looking amazing and said, like, love the visuals of The Substance. Demi Moore looks amazing. She's never looked hotter. Something like that. I'm not quoting it directly. And the internet went ablaze roasting her for it, which, it's Thanksgiving. It's a great week to roast things. People love to roast. They skewered her alive, though. I mean, people really went ham on Miss Kim. And honestly, I'm one of them. I agreed with what people were saying because that's what you got from the message of the film. Where is her PR? Although, maybe, and let's talk about it, maybe her PR was like, you know what, you guys aren't in the news enough right now. Let's get you to say something a little off, just a little off topic, and bring it into the news. Because this is clearly a film that your family's obsessed with youth and you look amazing. And we could link you to the message of this film very clearly through some sort of discourse. Maybe it was a very methodical post. Maybe her PR team is actually working overtime in a way that's like, ooh, our psych didn't even think of that, huh? Either way, we're moving on to a new topic. So, is Beyonce the greatest pop star of the 21st century? This was a question that was posed by Billboard. They did like their ranking of the top 10 biggest and most influential artists of the 21st century, which is the century that we're in currently. If you didn't know, I know it's the 2000s, so that would be confusing for a lot of you, including myself, but that's what it's considered. And if you didn't know that, the earth is also round. A lot of facts coming at you today. So, Taylor Swift was ranked number 2, and then it was like, who's going to be number 1? It's clearly Beyonce, guys. Hello, sales-wise, the way that she drops things, the way that she's changed the perspective and trajectory of music videos and having like visual albums, which is something other artists have done before. Like, of course, Michael Jackson has done that before. But the way that she's done it in a modern context is the same way that Michael did it in his time frame. I don't think artists are really comparable in that way. I know last week we talked about how like Chappell Roan is more of like a Cyndi Lauper comparable, and we compared some other artists currently going on to, previous artists, because people do like to compare. I don't think they are actually comparable, but if you were to compare Beyonce to someone, she's like Michael Jackson. I mean, it's a big deal. Everything she does is huge. It's a massive undertaking and effort. So, of course, she's number 1, and of course, I agree with that. I'm all the way with the Beehive. I know that there's those theories of people being like thanking Beyonce because they want to get in the Illuminati and all that stuff, and shut your mouth. She's a great talent. Just love her. I say as I have another sip of my coffee as if I need any more. So here's something, just a little palate cleanser. It's church related. So whether Beyonce's your church or this, like Christianity is, I don't know. But Notre Dame. This made me say a damn for real. Wow, I'm going to hell in a handbasket. But Notre Dame Cathedral is unveiled days before its official reopening. Basically, they're approaching the finality of Notre Dame being. I don't know how to say it. I'm very self-conscious. But they've Hunchback is like finally getting his resting place back. It looks pristine and gorgeous after the fire that transpired a couple of years ago. It's back to looking really good and revitalized and healthy. And what I'd like to say is I think it took the substance. I think Notre Dame took the substance because it seemed like they were working on it for a really long time, and it didn't look, from my perspective, not that I was looking at a live camera of it every single day. It's not like I had like someone from WAG come in and check on the Notre Dame. How do you say it? Oh my gosh. I wasn't checking on it daily, but it looked like there wasn't any progress going on past scaffolding for years, and then all of a sudden it's ready for an unveiling. Suspicious. Dimmy more information. So here's something scary. Just today, actually, breaking news. Not that I'm breaking it. I mean, it was already in articles and stuff. China is already retaliating preemptively for some of the tariffs that Trump is alleging that he's gonna, put in place against other countries. It's going to be a bad situation for us. China's already reacting to it and saying that they're going to have tariffs on exports towards us. So we need to watch out for that. We do. There was a whole article this past week, and I don't know if it was because the Black Friday was happening and they wanted people to like pay attention to it, but it said, buy now before tariffs hit. Retailers are telling shoppers. They said it more succinctly than that. I stuttered, but that's what I like to say. I was adding drama to it. I was adding life to a lifeless article. So thank you, Wall Street Journal. Here's a palate cleanser. This made me say a damn, but in a really fun way. There was a stray dog climbed an Egyptian pyramid this week. And guess what? I believe a paraglider is the one that removed the dog from the top of the pyramid. I don't know. I just read the title of the article. I didn't really fully digest it because the whole thing was like a what, and a what. It seemed like AI. I mean, that's amazing. The only thing that I paid attention to with dogs this past week was that there's a little dog named Vito. and he won the National Dog Show. He's a pug. He's the first time. It's the first time a pug has ever won the National Dog Show. It's that show that happens every Thanksgiving. You know, people love the Macy's Parade. Macy's Parade's a great warm up for the dog show. Love that thing. So fun. Did you watch it this year? I thought he had such stoicness. He had such a presence. You know. He probably watched the John Benet Ramsey documentaries and said, "I'm going to be a pageant queen too." Anyway, protect this dog at all costs. That was a bad reference. I just love this dog. I'm obsessed. I've always wanted a pug. They look like little aliens. Obsessed. And I'm not just saying that because they were an alien in Men in Black. Although that probably is fueling that a little bit. Now, we did talk about online this week, you know, what's the thing that made you guys say a damn the most? And of the options, you didn't pick the one that I thought. We're going to get to that actually after the break today. So before the break, I want to break down some of the things that you didn't say were the most a damn of the week. Because personally, this one was the one for me. Jacob Elordi, you know, he's a star. He's on Euphoria. He was on Saltburn. He's been in other things, but those are the ones that I really know him from. He's going to be in Frankenstein. So whenever they adapt that for the millionth time, he's going to be playing Frankenstein, I guess. The Frankenstein, I don't know if he's playing the doctor or the monster itself, because Frankenstein is the doctor. The monster is just simply referred to as the monster, I believe. But he's going to be playing it, and this week he unveiled something, I think, that is him prepping for the role, because he looked monstrous. He took such a beautiful frame and face and just really blew it out of the water with a beard. Now, some people, a beard really sculpts their face. It's like makeup for men. It can be, especially if you lack a jawline. But he has a very distinct jawline, like an Abraham Lincoln level distinct jawline. Like he could cut somebody with that. Okay? Like it's sharp. And it was really not. It was Miss Frizzle when he put the beard on. I didn't like it. A lot of people online were saying, and who am I to tell somebody what to look like with their body? Maybe I need a beard. Maybe I need to do it. You know what I'm saying? And I'll own up to that, but I can't grow hair like that, so it's not happening. I can do a 5 o'clock shadow. Well, I can do like a 3 o'clock shadow. But he did like a full-blown, like 13th hour beard in the dark. People were like, so one of the comments, this made me laugh. They were like, Jacob Elordi, you know, unveils his new beard. And then someone said, unveil it. I loved that. We're going to talk about Wicked here before the break. Now, whether you've seen it or not is inconsequential, and it really doesn't matter, okay? Because I'm not going to do any spoilers here. But I am going to talk about the fact that they've released a croc line of Glinda and Elphaba shoes. The Elphaba ones are like slippers, and they're fuzzy and they look warm, but I'm really liking the Glinda ones. They're pumps. I'm not sponsored. I wish I was, and I've never worn a croc before, but this could entice me. They're really cute. They're like sort of a Polly Pocket looking thing, which is so fitting for a Galinda or Glinda, as you will, style. Cynthia Erivo was on the Thanksgiving Day parade this week. She didn't sing, from what I saw or heard of. She did host on the panel with Hoda, and she brought her flowers, which was really sweet, because theoretically, you should always give people their flowers. But also, she gave her flowers legitimately. Like, she gave her a whole bouquet of flowers, which was really a nice thing to do. And a good press move for her on her part, because people have been dragging her left, right, and center ever since she had the non-playbill poster moment. Do you remember that? Where like people were like, oh my God, this is not looking like the playbill, and they edited it, and then she had a response to it, which was totally justified. She was like, guys, I put a lot of effort into the way that I looked in this, and we had a lot of discussions about like, I want you to see my eyes from the character's perspective and to see the depth there. You know, this whole movie is about her, and you need to connect with her, and I want you to see her eyes. But anyway, people dragged her for that. They were really upset. They were like, it's just, we wanted it to look like the playbill. So this is good PR for her, especially after that run they had where like they were crying and sobbing on each other hysterically all the time. People really love to judge. Let people have emotions. It's okay. And it was a very emotional movie. I've seen it twice now, and next week, a little teaser for you. Again, we love a teaser. I will tell you which is the best format to see the movie officially, because I've seen it twice so far. I've seen it in IMAX and Standard. I'm not going to say which was better until next week, because I want you to come back after I've seen it in 3D. So, this is something that I wanted to talk about. This happened in the film, and it's not a spoiler to discuss this. Ariana Grande's character, which is phenomenal. I think she almost steals the movie. Cynthia's equally as good. They're both amazing. They deserve their parts. I'm not saying that one was better than the other. But Ariana Grande does this notorious hair flip situation throughout the movie, and I've discussed it on my TikTok. So this is a little plug for at 1492 problems, just to have a moment to drink some coffee. I just saw Wicked. Can't wait to see it a second time. Is that like, is that popular? Is that a popular thing to do? I mean, is this how you really get boys? I mean, I thought that was the Harlem Shake. I didn't know that that was like something that we were still doing. I mean, I love a Y2K move. You know what I mean? Just do it. No wonder I'm single. I can't master it down. I didn't know that was the move we were working with. It feels like a Head and Shoulders commercial because my head is about to fall off of my shoulders. Like I need a chiropractor. Stat. Anyway, I don't know. I just needed a moment to sip some water. So, as a follow up, we're getting Wicked Part 2 next year. Not a spoiler. If you didn't know that, it's split into two, right? And the Part 2 is going to feature two new songs, one for each Glinda and Elphaba's character. So, Ariana and Cynthia, respectively. Now, the first one for Glinda is going to be called Girl in the Bubble. I hope it's good. That's an interesting title. And then there's No Place Like Home for Elphaba. That is going to win an Oscar. I'm going to put it out here first. I'm going to say it up here first. That's winning an Oscar. 100%. And I can't wait to witness both. If they don't win an Oscar for their performance in either the first part or the second part, here's my projection. I think Ariana's going to win for the first. And I think Cynthia's going to win for the second. But I also think songs, because they can't be nominated for score or for soundtrack. I mean, for original song, because the songs aren't original in the first, they're already in the musical. I think that they're going to win for one of the songs next year. You heard it here first. You probably thought it first, but either way. Now, if you watch it or listen to any of the music on Spotify, you will see something really cool. They've taken, where it's tracking. I don't know why I'm showing you like this, and my eyes are crossing as I'm doing it, but it like has the play bar where it like goes across. As it's scrolling through the song, it is the wands of both the girls. That is a really cool feature. I love the branding of that. I love the marketing strategy of that. Don't you? Okay, well, that's all I've got time to say. Oh, one more thing. No. Let's take a second for this because I just learned this week that the Unlimited, it's the same notes as Somewhere Over the Rainbow. It's just in a different timing. Little things like that, I just think really add to. Stephen Schwartz is such a genius. He's the one that did the score for this and Hunchback of Notre Dame, however you say it, which we referred to earlier. So that's a good tie-in. That's a good way to end this segment, isn't it? But I love when there's little references to the original text, the original score, the original whatever. I love that. I think that's so genius, and there's a reason that he's as good as he is. But something like that I didn't even know about. And then on the second time that I was listening to the film, I could sort of hear it. All right, we'll be right back after a word from my parents, because this is the ad damn break. And when we come back, we are going to do something really fun. We're going to talk about the main topic that you guys voted on for a damn for the week, as well as I will be reading a segment from a book. Each of the episodes that are coming out in just the month of December are going to include a chapter from my book, Not So Marvelous, which I am currently and actively seeking representation for. Where's the stop button? Okay. My hair actually does look pretty good. And just like that, we're back. I want to talk very quickly about a segment that was popular. So I'm bringing it back by popular demand, and I'm going to make it part of the series going forward. It's a voice memo of the week. I have some friends that I'm jealous. All my friends, they keep traveling. I'm so jealous about it. But I have friends that are in Finland right now. Which I guess you would say I'm going to let them finish that trip before I do this, but I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and tell you exactly what I'm thinking. So this is a voice memo that I sent them, if I can freaking find it. Frick and frack, here it is. Literally the next slide, Adam. I do set these up for success, not failure. So this is what I sent them, and I think it might make you laugh. And if it doesn't, oh well, skip.
I'm sure they don't speak English there and play this for Kelsey too. I already commented on her in DMs. I don't want her getting jealous. But here's the thing. Does everyone sound like this when you're walking around? Oh, yes. You want a beer? Oh, very nice. Okay, good. Do they sound like that, or did we make that up?
So that was my impersonation of people from Finland. Because you know how you watch Frozen and they're like, oh, yoo-hoo, big summer blowout. Remember that? So anyway, this was my take on it, trying to be a little bit less cartoony and a little bit more, um, I guess, baboonery, because that really didn't work either. I was monkeying around. All right, drum roll. This is the moment you've all been waiting for. This is the thing that you guys voted on this week as the biggest a damn moment. Let me adjust my posture because it shocked me a little. I'm a little bit shocked that you guys picked this, but we're gonna really get into it. We're gonna really dissect it. So I'm putting 20 minutes on the clock because that's all I've got to talk right now. Actually, I'm not gonna put 20. That was way longer than I meant to say. I don't know how much time I'm putting on here. We're gonna get into it. First of all, you guys really want to talk about Moana, which I'm shocked by. So Moana 2 came out this week. Now, I love Moana 1. It is probably my favorite Disney movie made in the last 20 years. Okay? And I didn't think that the movie was that good, the sequel. I thought that it needed a lot of work. I think it needed retooling. Clearly, it was factually, let's speak some facts real quick. This was supposed to be a Disney Plus series. And then in February of this year, Bob Iger, who's in charge of the studio and the company at large, he's the CEO, said, this is potentially a big hit maker for us. I like the story. I think it's strong. Let's let's remake it into a film. Let's not make it as a series. Let's release it as a film. And it's doing very well at the box office. It did better than Wicked in its second week. It did, it was released on the Thanksgiving weekend, and in its 5-day haul, it brought in $400 million. Now, the first movie only brought in a total of 600 and, well, where are the facts, Adam? Where are the figures? It brought in 600 and something million total for the first movie in totality. This movie's clearly going to pass $1 billion at some point. So there's obviously a big pool for the film. People really love Moana. Moana has been the biggest and most watched film on Disney's app for several months, and I think I read somewhere that it's the most watched family movie of all time across streaming platforms. But that's a really big thing, and I don't know how we really look at the breakdown of that because the streaming numbers are never disclosed the same way that a Nielsen rating would be for CBS, NBC, ABC, and all of the other broadcasting channels that are on cable. So it's sort of like a guesswork, but I mean, Moana's an amazing first film, and I would have written the film differently. I'm going to talk about that in a second. I'm going to include a link that I put for Take Two. I'm gonna break that down how I would have written it, how I would have restructured it, which does include some spoilers, so skip it if you need to in a minute, and I'll tell you when that happens. But I want to break down exactly what we were talking about online and the things that you were interested in from this story, because in terms of it making more money than Frozen did, it's already outpacing Frozen, is extreme. It's wild. But when you look at the fact that this movie is watched more than Frozen on their app, it makes sense. I mean, people were wanting this movie to have a sequel. They were excited for it. I don't think it really needed one, but the fact that they were going to make one, people are excited by because they love the first one so much. The character is very exciting. All of her family members are alive, which I believe is the first time that's ever happened in a Disney princess lineup, other than Tangled. No, Tangled, both of her parents are alive. So Tangled and this one, the parents are alive. Both of them are adventurous individuals. There's some comparisons there we could make, but what's different is that this film series, and I'm including the second one now, does not have a romantic interest for her, which is really exciting and something that I think is admirable for anyone to watch as a young, impressionable individual. Your life is not dependent upon having a romance with someone, and not everybody needs to have a romance, and she's a young character, so we don't need to be putting all of this pressure on the character to showcase their romance at like whatever age she is. What is she, 16 in this? Why are we talking about her being in love? I'm not interested in that. And they don't, which is amazing. And she's clearly got the ocean on her side. She's got like powers in that kind of way, to an extent. So there's a lot to work with. And I could see easily why this would make more money than Frozen because of those things. And Lin-Manuel did the music in the first one, and Lin-Manuel is such a treasure trove. He is a modern day sort of Steven Schwartz, sort of. I mean, Steven Schwartz is a modern day Steven Schwartz, but he's another iteration of that, not only for Disney but just for musicals in general. And Alan Menken, like it's like Alan Menken, Steven Schwartz, Lin-Manuel. I would put him in the same breath. So Disney's really they need to keep him really close to their chest because he didn't work on the second one. He worked on Mufasa, and I think it just didn't work out timing wise based on I'm looking at their schedules, and it just like didn't align for him to do the second one. And the people that they brought on for this sequel are two composers that are famous off of TikTok, and I think that's amazing and that's very impressive. They wrote what is called the Bridgerton musical. I wish they would hire the people that did the Ratatouille musical on TikTok. I thought everybody that was involved with that was so impressive. But and that's also a Disney property. That's a Pixar property, so they should be looking at those people as well. But anyway, they hired the two girls that did Bridgerton, and one of them's 23 and the other one's 26, so they're young, and it's very impressive that they write as well as they do and are being seen in the light that they are because Gen Z doesn't really get pushed in that way as much as they should. Usually especially when you're writing musicals and things, it's happening way later in life. So I'm excited to see where their course goes. I'm excited to see their journey. However, I think they set them up for failure on this particular movie because it was supposed to be a TV series, and I don't know what point they were brought in, but clearly the wants and needs of the character are not strong. So the songs are weak as a result. In order to sing in a musical, it has to have a very strong want and need. So now I'm gonna go away from what we've been talking about here for a second, and I'm gonna tell you how I would fix the story of Moana. That's not what you asked for, but that's where it's going because I'm a writer, and I'm not gonna, downplay the good work that everybody that worked on the hundreds of people that worked on this film did. And it's a great movie to take your kids to see. It's not that scary. It didn't have really a villain in it, which to me is a problem. You need that, especially in a princess or heroic Disney film. I don't know if she qualifies as a princess. She will be a leader. She's in the reign for that. Anyway, this is how I would have rewritten it because I like a cause and solution. Boom. Now enjoy. And I want your thoughts on if this works or not. Okay, Moana. She is Moana. Let's talk about it. A lot of people are complaining about the music. I agree with them, but I don't think it's a fault of the composers. I think the story and the plotting are not where they needed to be, which makes sense because initially it was supposed to be a TV series, and then Disney in February of this year was like, let's make it a film. So, if it's going to be a film, this is how I would have retooled it as a screenwriter. Spoilers ahead. So beginning with the ending of the film. The last 20 minutes are really strong, and I think that's the hook for the film. The fact that she is going to be a demigod is the purpose of the film, but I think it needs to be driven from Maui, and this is how I would start the film. I'll try to walk through the beats of what I would do. So I would begin with Moana's on her island. Her parents are training her to take over the reins of the island. She doesn't really know if she wants that, but it's the lineage that she's supposed to go with, and she loves her people. While that's taking place, she's also getting a tattoo that is talking about the journey that she went through with Maui previously in Moana 1, but it lets the audience know, like, in a quick way, this is what happened in that film, if you forgot, while doing the tattoo. She has a sister, of course, keep that element, but the sister's, like, interrupting, and it's making it a challenge, even though she loves her, right? A little more conflict, a little bit more drive, a little bit more going on. Now, we flip to where Maui is, and it expands the universe vastly because Maui is a demigod. And in the sphere of other demigods and other gods in this culture, we get to see his dynamic with all of them. He's sort of an outcast. He doesn't really fit in. The humans see him as this great, broad, wonderful thing, but the demigods, they don't agree. They kind of don't like him. They don't like that he's getting all this praise from the humans, and we'll have more of the lore in there, which I would need to study more on in order to incorporate that. But the gist is, Maui's like, shoot, the only person that I really have on my side, and now that I've really bonded with her, I need a Moana on my team. So he's vying for her to be a demigod. She's already got the ocean on her side, and now Maui's vying for her to do that too. Maui shows up and is like, "You've got a new imminent threat, and we've got to work on depleting that." Really, his objective is to get her to be a demigod. And through the journey of them together, there is this massive villain that finds out their power is fading. They're no longer going to be a demigod if Moana can prove herself. So that person in their fading way is trying to get rid of Moana, and that's the person that Moana would take over the demigod reigns from, if you will. And the villain is threatening her island in some kind of way. Now, here's where it gets exciting. Yes, it is a little bit Herculean in the way that it's structured now, and Maui's sort of like her fill in terms of mentorship. But the agreement is when she's battling to prove herself against this new villain, this major villain, which needs to be strong, no one is allowed to help her. She's not allowed to have a crew, which I found the crew to be extremely distracting anyway. I don't know about you, but I would get rid of that. And Maui's not allowed to use his powers because he can't intervene. That would sort of deplete her proving her worth. You know? In the second act, she finds out there's a rule. If she's going to be a demigod, if she does this, she's not allowed to interact with humans but so much time throughout the year, because it will drain her powers. Which then we go back to Moana 1 and we show that Maui secretly was losing some of his powers. We give some depth and some clarity to some of those beats and moments in the first film and give new perspective to it, a new outlook on it. So she wouldn't be able to be reigning over her island, and she wouldn't get to spend as much time with her sister as she wishes, which is sad for her. But think of the outcome. Now she's a demigod. Now she gets to help her people more, on a sort of like universal level, right? And it, as a wayfinder, now there's a reason for her to be away from the island more. When she actually does defeat the villain and she goes into the stratosphere where Maui was in the initial opening sequence with the demigods and the gods, as she's walking up, she's passing all of the ancestors from the past, ones she hasn't met before. And her grandmother's the one that officially bestows the title upon her. And she's blessed by all the ancestors. It's really, they had a touch of that in the current draft of Moana 2, but it could be much stronger. And she'll be able to tap into that going forward. But here's the thing. Now we've expanded the universe. We've got many more characters to tap into for not only music, but for stories and, offshoots. If they end up doing a TV series or something, we can talk about the other lore of the other demigods and gods. But now we've got clarity for music and a want and a drive and real conflict, which is essential for the hero's journey. What do you think? Did you like Moana 2 as it was? What would you change? Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but we've had not only a costume change, but a background change. And what I will say is that I stretched the neck of this sweatshirt putting it on because apparently I have an oversized head. I guess that's from an inflated ego, says the person that's doing a podcast episode with only them in it. Unless we do happen to have a special guest appear, which is yet to be determined at this juncture. So, I've decided that I'm going to do something really fun. I'm going to read a chapter from a book that I'm currently writing and working on and seeking representation for. It's called Not So Marvelous. I'm going to read the foreword here first, and then I'm going to read the first chapter. And you will receive a chapter each of the weeks in Christmas, in December leading up to Christmas, because this is sort of like my gift to everyone, okay? Not So Marvelous. Forward. Are you sick of superhero movies? Me too. Now, imagine just how sick the citizens would be in that universe. The ones that aren't, distracted by, our city is saved from this existential threat. The ones that are honest about being displaced and stuck in sudden traffic. The ones that now have only half of their family left. I'm not referring to anything inside of the trademark properties. This is all just hypothetical. Yes, what an inconvenience this would all be. Such trauma, such issues they are going through constantly. Now, if you struggle to picture that further, behold, this book will explain those thoughts of those citizens most inconvenienced through the lens of the almighty loudest complainant. Complainant? I don't know, some of this I might have to edit. An elderly white man in the biggest city in the country, as he constantly witnesses attacks by these that dare to be called super. Now, are they heroes or are they actually villains? He doesn't answer this, but it's a great question to pose for yourself. Chapter 1. It was the night before Christmas, for those who celebrate it, and all through the apartment complex, not a creature was flummoxed, except for the beta fish in apartment 212, fervently splashing about. This damn fish! But it was too late to return beta. Returning a fish wasn't out of the scope of possibility for Barry, the old man standing before us in this apartment that you just heard speak. Perhaps we should have led with that. No, the fish did not own the apartment to himself. This isn't that fantastical of a novel. So get it together, and I need to get it together reading. I'm already stumbling. Anyway, Barry would love to return the fish, actually, in this moment. But how embarrassing would that be? A dog, sure. Maybe, but not a fish. They just sit in their damn bowl. If you can't take care of a fish, you need a psych eval, is the imagined response of Barry. But as the tail thrashed about in its agitated bowl, Barry was tempted. Can a man have a private moment, a room to one's own? Which is an excellent Virginia Woolf book, high on Barry's list for must-reads to all of his previous students during his tenure at one of the most prestigious colleges in the city. But I digress. Hello? I'm trying to cook my milk. Leave me alone. Barry, in addition to being very, very old, was known for his frankness and crankiness. This rings apparent as he moves steadily towards the stove, past a series of butchered knives, and contemplates much. Lifting the simmering skim milk to the lip of his favorite mug for his evening sit and sip. He didn't hurt the fish. Calm down. The very, very old man has asked to be referred to simply as Barry, for this is as mostly a true story as we can get to, and he doesn't want all of that attention. He's private. So private that even the mail deliverer doesn't know his last name. Just this afternoon, they got into a little, argument again, for Barry tends to redact the name on packages. Mid-argument, Barry exclaimed with a curt, "It doesn't really matter." So let's just respect that disrespectful statement and refer to him as all great figures in pop culture are referred to with, think, Madonna, Beyonce, or Adele, but without the music, in the singular, Barry. Now, I don't know another famous Barry outside of maybe, the Knott's Farm situation. So if you know of a singular Barry, just know this is not him. It's 11:58 p.m., Barry notes as he slowly dips into his living room chair, mug in hand, to sit. Yes, the room only had one chair, but a room to one's own requires very little. Barry wasn't known for company. Having a fish, it was a lot of upkeep. It truly drained his social battery, so the singular chair more than sufficed. It had great back support, which at any age is essential, and adequate feet support when a recline ensued. But what made the chair a keeper was that it was versatile where it mattered most. Yeah, this chair rocked. And I don't mean musically, I mean literally. Rocking chairs are the fucking best. Barry thought this thunk, just as he managed to sink into the rhythm of his first true rocking rotation and a 1-2-3. Again, it's not musical, so I need you to let that go. Barry finds the bravery to dip his lip into the lip of the mug, and is splashed by the tail of an all too accurate blow from Beta's tank. Success! Ha 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 ha. Thinks or perhaps states the fish aloud. And I think the fish should actually have a British accent, but we'll work on that later in post. Success. Better. Barry's dip in the milk is cut short. Barry has learned to be less reactive to these sorts of assaults in their odd couple spats, and decidedly pushes his rocking recliner back out of the splash zone and further into the shadowing hole of his room's sole window frame. Barry does what he likes best at this time of night. He stares into the darkened cityscape and finally sips upon the drink he worked so hard to craft for all of 2.5 minutes. Ah, my sciatica's acting up. Oh, this milk is so hot. Why do I drink this shit? He says as more of a defiant statement than that of a question, and continues to stubbornly sip. That's enough. Barry is famous for almost finishing something and giving up right before it's done. This could be a metaphor for his entire life. Early retirement. Cutting the line at the post office, giving his partial name. The list goes on, and that's all just stuff from today, but I don't need to unpack that for him. What am I, a therapist? Barry dumps the remainder spillage into Beta's fish tank as he passes onward toward his bed mere feet before him. Both Beta and Barry collapse for the night. The hour is peaceful. The night is so still. Up on the rooftop, there arose such a clatter, but Barry remained unmoved as his apartment wall ripped with a clatter. Where are my glasses? What is this? What? Kind of sounds like Miranda's boyfriend, doesn't he? I don't know. Grabbing his beta fish and his best robe, wallet, and phone, as the building swayed in its unbalanced new weight, Barry ran down the hallway. He passed many doors of people not yet awake. People that he knew could be crushed should the building collapse. A pressing fear he has had since the early 2000s, the year they arrived. He thought I meant 9/11, but I wasn't going there. And all of these people with doors, a simple knock? I mean, he knew he could. No, he really should wake everyone up along the way. It's a simple task for such a loud, obnoxious, old man. Nah, too tricky with the knocking and the fish. Every man for themselves. Barry ran down the stairs and shuffled out of the door just in time. Amongst one of the baker's dozen, others from the entire 16-floor complex stood on the sidewalk as the building indeed collapsed behind him. He scanned the faces of the survivors as their faces whitened with dust. I don't know, at least I don't have to hear those clomp, 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 gargantuous fuckers in 312. Who wears shoes inside their house? Enjoy your shoes. Karma. This is karma. Overhead, a battle ensued between species of other realms. Fucking aliens. Many in the city and the world did not previously believe in species in the extraterrestrial before this. You can imagine what an eye-opener that was. Now, just like any other night in the city, there was a large, gaping vortex filling the city skyline. This one was a mess of black web, smoke, and sprawling entanglement of overall, look at this intergalactic bullshit. The Twister, the city's current favorite superhero. Whoa, read that again. The Twister, the city's current favorite superhero, known for curating a vortex of fury and crime-fighting passion, zipped through the webbing, chucked it up, and shot it through every orifice of his firm, taut body. All onlookers were blown back. Car windows shattered. Another apartment complex was tossed about, but remained standing tall. Only Barry's apartment was decimated in the wake. No! The Twister stepped down onto the pavement yards in front of Barry. A twist of fate! The crowd erupted with joy and tumultuous applause, all except for one. Applause? For what? Is everyone conscious? This fucking guy just blew apart our entire block. Look at all of this glass. Somebody hold my fish. Somebody hold my fish. I'm gonna give him a piece of my... The Twister spiraled, leapt into the sky, and was seen no more. The thunder rolled in, and behind it came the presence of a city bus. Y'all from the apartment? I wondered to which apartment you could be referring. Silence. The only one on the block that got destroyed? Oh, yes. That apartment with a bunch of dead bodies in it now. Yeah, please, come and collect us. Get in, Barry. Barry, quite contrary. Take two. Get in, Barry, quite contrary. If you get any fish juice on my... Oh, Lord, I'm really skipping ahead. Get in, Barry, quite contrary. Barry obliged and took a seat near the back. If you get any fish juice on my seats, I swear to... Barry stood up. This was just not his night, and he did not want to be tested any further. So, he decided it was time to get off of the bus, and not without a few spoken choice words. Oh, you can all see me. Oh, great. You see my fish? Let me just direct your attention to our building that just collapsed. Can you see that? The Twisty did that. Twister, they all yelled back. It's not even a good name. And that catchphrase, don't even get me started on the catchphrase. So don't start then, sit down. The twisted fate, he destroyed our building. The people above me died. The beloved, wonderful neighbors. And Marianne, I see you, but I don't see the rest of your family. Where are they now? What did you do? Did you just run out and let them die? Are they in the rubble? What are you struggling for? Oh, man, just another day. So long as we get to help the intergalactic fates. Everyone is so selfish. Clapping for the death of your families like a bunch of hypnotized short memory seals? Barry, get off or shut up. You know what? I will get off. I'd rather climb through the rubble than be amongst you idiots. You're all a bunch of sick fucks. Merry fucking Christmas. You stole this holiday from the pagans as the door shut on Barry and the bus whirled by alone He did precisely that. He thought on to where the now misplaced neighbors would go. Probably to where all the other victims to the circumstances of these unnatural superhero disasters take them. You know, a school gym floor. Bleh, good riddance. A simple man and his beta fish climbed through the rubble of what was previously his home of 37 years. This is exactly why this holiday is overrated. He shook his fist into the sky and moved above. Nope. He shook his fist to the sky and moved about the midnight streets to find a taxi. We'll continue with chapter 2 next week. That's all I've got for you for now. I hope you enjoyed it.